Yeah. You see, you have just let me complete my saying.
I'm
Let
waiting.
me complete what.
I am waiting.
Yeah. Yes. Now the issue is very clear. Now the Indian state, you have seen just 2 days before that all-party meeting, what they have been discussed, and the Indian state a dual stand of taking that one side going for a developmental activity and another side is deploying the paramilitary forces for suppressing the Maoist movement. The only whenever the incident had taken place, if you put a question that whether you condemn it or not, that will not come to the solution.
Well, I think you are
Now
dodging it.
the point
I think you are dodging it, Mr.
the point.
Raghunath. And I think you are dodging it quite transparently, quite openly, and quite unacceptably, Mr. Raghunath. You have no answer. Swaranjit said, you see, this is a double. GD Bakshi, okay, GD Bakshi, quick.
No.
I haven't gone to Swaranjit Sen yet, so I was about to go to him. But GD Bakshi, I'll come back to you. I want to get Swaranjit Sen in first.
Right.
Mr. Swaranjit Sen, why are they targeting
What would-
innocents again with such impunity? Why are they doing so? Is it desperation or a strategy?
No, they could be doing it for a number of reasons. Number one is to unnerve the government, to unnerve the people, and to make news. I feel that is more their desperation than anything else. But I am really shocked that such a major offense has taken place soon after the one in Chhattisgarh.
Yeah.
And now we have an aftershock which came three hours later. What is happening in Bihar? Where is all the intelligence? I feel generally Maoist problem is not the kind that cannot be sorted out. There is a general lack of will on the part of the politicians, on the part of bureaucracy, which doesn't seem to be handling this situation properly at all. It is most unimaginative type of response towards the Naxals, and there is just no point of being reactive instead of proactive. In this kind of a game, unless you are proactive, you are not going to achieve anything. This is what I would like to say. And these kind of excuses we have been hearing for years and years. I mean, it does not make sense. These people, when they talk, it does not make any sense to anyone. Maybe it makes sense to them. Okay, fine. But it does not make any sense to anyone. I wish they would come up and talk some sense.
No, the fact is the sympathizers are squirming. The sympathizers, Mr. Swaranjit Sen, are squirming. They were squirming after the incident which happened in Chhattisgarh. And they are squirming today. They were squirming after Gyaneshwari. But yet they don't turn off the tap of pseudo-intellectual support to these groups. Yes, Maruf. I don't think any of these individuals has a concrete answer. Yes, Maruf.
No, Arnav,
Arnav, I'd like to come.
The
gentleman who was
Arnav, I would like to mention one thing. No, just
Mr.
one second.
Swaranjit.
General Bakshi, one second. No, one second. You know, the reason could be that they are feeding off the Naxals. You know, we have got intelligence to this effect that many of these human rights people are actually feeding off these people.
Tell me more.
So there is a vested interest
Tell me more.
in saying and talking
Tell me more. Tell us more about it.
Yeah.
Arnab,
Yes.
Arnab, see, Mr. Swaranjit Singh has made a Mr. Swaranjit Singh has made a very important point that in all conflict situations, there are human rights groups, there are intellectual lobbies who have a vested interest in conflict INC. Now that is the thumb rule all over the world. The earlier speaker, Mr. Swaranjit, had brought out the point.
Sujata Batra, let him continue.
You have no evidence.
No, just let me complete.
What evidence?
Human rights organization working in India.
Just one sec.
The greatest evidence is that you've not had
Mr.
one
Bhadra, you
protest.
can make your point after I've made mine.
Your outrage on the killing of innocent people.
Mr. Bhadra, you can make your point after I've made mine. Let me also tell you that one of your colleagues in the panel,
has not come up. What you are talking of?
No, one of your colleagues,
to the
I know what I'm talking of. Just because you have limited vision and understanding of the current problem.
Encounter, whether innocent civilian or accused person, non-political person accused, held in the custody, died in the police custody or in jail, we are taking up that. We are not taking up only the case of the Maoists. What we are saying, you have to deal with the Maoists in a more, not in the counter-insurgency manner,
and
but in a human way you have to
I'm
counter
sorry.
them.
How are they?
You cannot took down
Okay, Mr. Badra. Okay,
Now, Mr. Badra, let Maruf complete. Let Jimmy Bakshi come in after that.
Now let me respond.
Mr. Badra, let Maruf complete. I'm coming back to you.
Arnab, just let me respond.
Mr.
Arnab,
Badra,
just
keep
please
an
let me
independent
respond.
line.
The thing is, Mr. Bhadra's point that yes, abuses have taken place is not being denied by me. But the point at issue is when conflicts start, things do tend to go out of hand, and there is a need for very, very tight management of the situation.
Intelligence report, which is created one. Intelligence report is a
No, Mr. Bhadra, I've heard you out. Mr. Bhadra, I've heard you out. Now you listen to me.
State depression. We have lost lot of friends.
Okay, you might be fighting against state repression. Why is it that there is only state repression in the so-called Maoist areas and there is no state repression elsewhere in the country? And please also understand that your colleague says that we give double messages, Delhi gives double messages. All insurgencies are to be fought with a combination of force and good governance measures. You cannot do one in isolation of other.
But you are attacking human rights organization. You are attacking human rights movement. You can criticize one particular viewpoint of a particular human rights
I'm not attacking human rights organizations. I didn't attack human rights organizations. I said NGO all over the world. Mr. Bhadra, all over the world, NGOs, all over the world, NGOs have a vested interest. Pardon my saying so, but all over the world, NGOs have a vested interest in either keeping conflict or poverty alive.
Mr. Bhadra, understand
Mr.
what
Bhadra,
Maruf is
all
saying.
over the world,
there is a, I want to ask you, Mr. Bhadra,
please don't moralize on a one-sided stand. We are looking at how to address the problem. We are not looking at only pointing fingers at you. If you're feeling guilty by what I've said, that's your call.
You condemn all kinds of violence.
Let me point out to you that there are in this country a number of foreign-funded NGOs which have been trying to demonize the security forces and hamper their operations.
Acceptable to us.
Their human rights concerns are not from genuine compassion. They have an ulterior motive of trying to hamper the state operations. That is what it is. Please take a look at your arms trade treaty in the United Nations. They are trying to now state. Please let me finish. You're not the only one who's here to talk. There is a discussion, so kindly let the others give their viewpoint. May I remind you that the United Nations has just passed the Arms Trade Treaty, and one of the pernicious components of this is that on the basis of human rights, the arms that you have purchased, the Indian nation state has purchased, can be denied. And there are lobbies, foreign lobbies. I am making this accusation in all responsibility. There are these foreign-funded lobbies which are trying to stymie the Indian state's operations. And I'm afraid many of these people who pretend to be so kind-hearted have duplicitous standards. When ordinary innocent Indian citizens get slaughtered, they have not a word to say. They have not a word to say. But when the Maoists are killed, when the jihadi terrorists are killed, they shed such copious tears to just stop the army operations, the security forces operations.
According to information,
First you respect others.
Mr. Bhadra, Mr. Bhadra,
please pay respect to others.
Mr. Bhadra, please.
Don't question the
I do not respect people who are trying to break up this country.
Mr. Bhadra, please allow others to come.
You are free. No.
I think
Bhadra, calm down.
you are just trying to support
Mr.
yourself.
Bhadra, calm down.
Why
Please,
talking
1 minute.
so much?
The country, not we.
You tell me,
Swaranjit Singh.
have I hurt you where it hurts most? Mr. Bhadra, I think I've hurt you where it hurts most. Absolutely, you have. Tell me, where does all the extortion money go? Where does all the money that you accumulate go? You know what you're doing? You are in fact fooling the downtrodden people. You are giving them a pittance. You are making them do all your dirty work. And all your leaders, what are they doing? Enjoying life. Their children are studying abroad. Why don't you talk about that? Where is all the money going? Tell me. You tell me, if you are such a great human rights activist. Tell me, where is it? You have to answer these questions.
Tell me, how many tribals are leadership positions, are holding leadership positions in the Maoist hierarchy? How many tribals are platoon leaders, company leaders, battalion leaders?
One second. Ranjan Kamath wants to come in. Yes, Mr. Kamath.
Why don't you
Mr. Kamath is responding to some of these questions. Mr. Kamath, go ahead.
Evidence, the which human rights organization is...
We are going to resolve the problem with this kind of non-productive shouting match. It is a completely pointless exercise.
Mr. Kamath, it is, you see, I'll tell you, Mr. Kamath, I'll let you come in first of all, and please, let's go to the substantive issues.
To the question which the
Please come into the content and not the form of the debate. Yes, Ranjan Kamath.
Okay, right. But the point is this, that you have to keep in mind that the Maoists have been able to conduct such brazen attacks because they have compromised the political class as well. You see, various factions of the Maoists are aligned with various parliamentary parties in Bihar along caste lines. So, you cannot expect the political class to unite and take action against their very own henchmen who carry on their dirty work.
So, Mr. Kamath, may I ask you something?
You see?
May I ask you
Therefore,
something?
they have a free rein and are able to...
No, one second. Mr. Kamath, it's a very interesting point you make. My question to you is, the Maoists, these Maoists who I think, don't know anything about Maoism, these Maoists don't touch the big corporate houses from whom they extort money. Mr. Sujato Bhadra speaks about oppression. Right. 1 minute. They don't touch. They do deals with these corporate houses. And these corporate houses regularly give them hundreds of crores, over 2,000 crores. Mr. Bhadra faced the uncomfortable fact. And then they also act as foot soldiers of political parties. It has been spoken about in the past that they are foot soldiers of political parties and on the payrolls of corporates. What do these people, why do they hide behind an ideology?
I have had experience in Garhwa district where the Maoists have been protecting...
I'll tell you a real example.
Protecting right-wing political party interests.
You know what has happened? When in Andhra Pradesh we started the rural home guards and tribal home guards, many of them came to us and went to the Maoists and said, look, we are getting a job here. If we get this job, we may not come back. This is the situation that the Maoists are exploiting. These are people that they are using to cause all these offenses, while their leaders are merrily sitting in great chambers and enjoying themselves, or their children are studying abroad. What are you talking about human rights? Why don't you address this problem? Are they doing the correct thing?
No, the point is...
I would reinforce that point. I'd like to reinforce that point.
Both by the state
please let me also speak.